Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Thanksgiving. Good morning to you, one and all of you fabulous liberty lovers all across the globe, and you wonderful ecclesiastites. Yes, it is I, trying to get myself out of this food coma. Your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from the Bunker Eye Studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And I did check this morning, since I was away for much of the holiday weekend. And no, it didn't change. It's still live free or die. The call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. You know, it is becoming a standard here that when I go away for, a weekend, an extended weekend or something, big news hits. And you all are probably out there all talking about, and most of us are probably dancing on the grave of Fidel Castro before he's even buried. Man stuck around. He was 90 years old. Why is it that it seems like tyrants, unless somebody offs them early, if they die of natural causes, why does it seem like they live to be so long? Well, I'll tell you why. Because unlike the rest of the citizens of the wonderful island nation of Cuba, Fidel and his inner circle didn't suffer the same medical and financial and nutritional degradation that the rest of the country did. That's how he was able to live so long. I mean, it's the rank hypocrisy of these people is absolutely incredible. Now, you have to forgive me, folks. Here I am. Yes, I probably broke a cardinal rule somewhere, but since it's my studio, I can make up the rules. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. So I've decided just before the show to light something, and I haven't tried it before. But it is one of my favorite brands of the tobacco leaf, Arturo Fuente. It is a Chateau Fuente Pyramid. Yes, and you have to say it that way, Chateau Fuente Pyramid. You can't say it the English way, the American way, because it doesn't sound right. Yeah, I'm smoking me one of here of these Chateau Fuentes pyramids. Yeah, it doesn't work. And for those of you who are in the South, I'm not making fun of your accent. I am, but I'm not. I'm laughing with you. I have a lot of friends in the South. I don't make fun of them for any particular. I make fun of everybody, including myself on occasion. So if you can't laugh at yourself, you have no sense of humor. Seriously. Remember the James Bond movies? What was the sheriff in the Roger Moore Bonds? He came across the sheriff a couple of times. And remember the Jackie Gleason sheriff of Smokey and the Bandit? So bitch. Yeah, love those characters. Love them to death. And let's face it, the Southern people are not stupid. I know they're often portrayed as hicks and backwater and ignorant and just otherwise less intelligent than most other people. And I got to tell you, Southerners are not stupid. I have family down south. I have many friends who are down south, and Southerners are far from stupid. I know some of the accents, the Southern drawls. Some of them are pretty thick, and they do make a person sound less than intelligent. But I got to tell you, depending on the New England accent, some of the Bostonite accents that we got around here make a person sound just as ignorant, but they're not stupid either. So never judge somebody by their accent, because you don't know what they know, and oftentimes they know quite a bit. They're not. They may even lead simple lives, but they're not stupid. And one of the things that I have learned in my travels is that people they have the accent where they grow up usually, and this goes double. I guess you could say almost double for African Americans. There are a number of African Americans who have that urbanite accent, if you will. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Ebonics, but they haven't. Sometimes when you talk to a black person, you know they're black by their urban accent. It doesn't mean that they're stupid. It's because it's what they've grown up around. That's how you talk, is how you grow up around. If you want to be, these erudite accents like John Kerry sometimes has, Muffy. Well, why do people talk like that? Because that's what they grew up around. It doesn't make them rich. I mean, it makes, some people it makes them sound rich, but it doesn't make them rich, wealthy, financially savvy, or smart. It just means that, look, I've known some very well-to-do people that are just absolute idiots. Seriously. And you wonder how they got or kept the wealth that they have, because they're total, complete morons. But never judge a book by their accent cover, as it were. And I know we make fun of certain accents all the time because they fit a certain stereotype, and that kind of makes it funny. On occasion. Like somebody saying, Chateau Fuente Pyramid, sounds kind of funny. But you know where most of the cigars in this country come in from? They come in from ports in the South. So who's manning all those stores and those importers? A bunch of Southerners. So what do those Southerners need to know? They need to know their cigars, do they not? Yes, and they do. Because I had never, I got this cigar, was given to me by a Southerner. And of course he had that Southern drawl. He said, "Here, I know you like a good cigar, or cigar." He said cigar. So here, you need to try this one. And so I saved it, and here I am lighting it up this morning. And you know what? He's right in the money. It's a good one. Gotta tell you. Chateau Fuente Pyramid. It's a good stick. It's a tapered torpedo, as they call it. Tapered stick too. Yeah. So it's almost like noon, since I've been up since 5:30. So here it is, a little after 9 a.m. Eastern time. And since it's my Bunker Eye studio, I can smoke one if I want. Speaking of smoking, I learned a lot of things from Twitter. I know you folks probably want to get into the Castro thing. There's also the thing about the Wisconsin recount. We're getting into that. Trust me, folks. We're going to get there. I got some stuff that'll, curl your tail feathers on some of that stuff. So hang on. We got 3 hours to explore. I know it goes by fast, but we will definitely cover it. One of the things I learned from Twitter today is that there's two things about Monday. Well, this Monday. Today is Military Monday. I guess every Monday is Military Monday on Twitter, #Military Monday. So, again, my hat's off to all the men, women, and children and families out there that have had or currently have military personnel within their family. Hoorah. From one military brat to the rest of you military brats out there. Yes, in a sense, in a real way, we have put in our time and served as well. Families serve. Whenever a military member serves, the entire family serves. There's just no way around it. I mean, you want to talk about sacrifice. You want to be without your parent for a year at a time or more in some cases? And the interesting thing about this is that military divorce rates are not higher than the general population. And the way military lives, family lives are, you'd think that they should be even higher than they are. It's a tough life. I mean, there are sacrifices all around. From the spouse that stays home, the hold down the foot. Now, when you have a dual military family, mom and dad are both in service. I don't know how they do that. I that's definitely hats off and kudos to you. I know it's rare, and it's rare for a reason because it's just too damn hard. It really, and the military for good reason doesn't prevent it, but it discourages it. Because it presents all kinds of logistical nightmares for deploying troops in places. I mean, they do their best not to deploy both parents at the same time. But when you're in war, that becomes increasingly difficult. So for obvious reasons, military doesn't, they discourage military marrying military and both of them staying in. Because it's hard enough as it is. It's hard enough in family life. I mean, it's just you get how do kids grow up to be normal from the military? I mean, you would think that listening to all these wimpy, mamby-pamby little minds full of mush running around that need a safe space, you would think military, all us military brats, we should be in permanent therapy. Seriously. And we're not. In fact, some of us go so far as to enter the military ourselves. Now, I heard a statistic once a long time ago. I don't know if it still holds true, but I think it was something like 85 or 90% of career military children, in other words, one of their parents was a career military member, did not go into the military. Because they felt they've already served their however long they were alive. In many cases, career military person into their teens. They already served, 15 years of their life has been spent there. I know mine was pretty similar to that. But today is Military Monday on Twitter, so a big hoorah. Hoorah! To all the military members out there, thank you for being on point this morning and every morning. Keeping us in our society safe from invaders from without and from within. Today is also French Toast, National French Toast Day. And I know some of you people are out there thinking, well, man, don't call it French toast, call it American toast. French shouldn't get that. Well, I wondered where where French toast came from, because I did not believe in my heart of hearts that the French invented French toast. And, of course, as I went looking around, I found out that the French did not invent French toast. In fact, French toast can be traced all the way back to the Roman Empire. Well, so you could, I guess you could say then, by default, French toast is in no way French, but Italian. And I guess the Italians should take to heart that the French stole the Italian toast from the Roman Empire, because what did they do with pasta? They kind of stole it from the Orient, as they used to call it, from Asia, right? And made it their own. But the French toast is in no way actually French, because I was wondering, how can French toast be French if they're putting maple syrup on it? And maple syrup comes from North America. Really, it does. Native Americans tapped into maple trees and started making maple syrup centuries ago. Now, I don't know how they came upon doing this, but just probably one day there was somebody walking in through the forest and saw some sap oozing out of somewhere and decided for whatever reason to take a taste, and he licked it and thought, "Ooh, this is good. How do I get more of this?" And then they experimented, I'm sure, and that's how they came up with maple syrup. Trial and error. I am sure that many a human died throughout the ages with trial and error. How do we know that certain berries are poisonous? Well, because somebody at some point in time got hungry enough where they saw them and ate them and then died. That's how we know. We have a lot of trial and error and unfortunately those types of errors meant somebody had to suffer the consequences, and in some cases the ultimate consequence of death. Anyway, 603-835-3226 is the number to call this morning, and we will return right after this.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L-Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stocking. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, chocolate to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
Interesting things that is what do the French call French toast? That's a little bit more intriguing because they don't call it, the French don't call French toast. They don't. They call it pain perdu. In other words, pain perdu. Now, pain is bread, but lost bread is what it translates into, which kind of makes you wonder, because it's spelled Purdue, which is how we spell Purdue University. So is Purdue University lost? I know it's somebody's last name. I'm gonna get that. No, it's not named after bread, Rod, or lost anything. It's named after the person who found it. I know, but does that mean that his last name translates into lost? I'm just asking. But nevertheless, the French call it pain perdu, and it is basically what they used to call it was pain à la Romaine, which means lost Roman bread, which takes us back to the time of where we believe French toast was actually invented. And basically, it is due to stale bread. Well, isn't that what most people use for French toast? Well, maybe not here in the Americas, because we go to the grocery store and we can even buy the so-called French toast cut French toast, right? Red, which is not stale. But basically, the reason for it is that it keeps you from wasting bread, because after a couple of days, back in the day, we didn't have bread boxes and plastic and everything else to wrap bread in to keep it from getting stale. So after a day or two, it went stale. So instead of wasting it, what do they do? Well, they soaked it in many trial and error types of things. And one of the fascinating things that they found that you could do with bread to make it tasty after you cook it is soaking it in a dairy mixture, usually of egg and water or egg and milk. Usually some eggs are involved, because eggs were, most people back in the day, they either had access to or they had chickens that laid eggs daily. And it just wasn't for breakfast. This was a dish that could have been served at any time during the day. But in more modern times, we've come to what we've come to do is make an egg and milk mixture and fry that sucker in butter. But it's not the French who did all this, by the way. Yeah, they've used it too, but how it ever became to be known as French toast is still kind of a mystery. I'm sure somebody out there can do an encyclopedic type of term paper and find out when the term became French toast, but I'm not delving that deeply into it. I just think it's delicious stuff, and today is French toast, National French Toast Day, which is really kind of a misnomer, because we're the first peoples to put maple syrup on it, thus putting an American stamp on it. So I guess it wouldn't be too far-fetched if we said this was American toast, simply for the fact that the French did not put maple syrup on it. Americans did that. Now, throughout the ages, they topped their French toast with different things that they had available to them, depending on the province or the city or area or country or town that they came from or were living in. But you can better believe that a lot of communities, they tried to sweeten it up with some berries or some such thing, or marmalade or something that they've been able to make. But here in the USA, we decided to use that wonderful Native American topping and flavorful sweet topping called maple syrup. Thus, I proclaim today French toast should be called hereafter American toast.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
(603-835-3226). That's the number to call should you wish to join me here live this Monday morning as we get back to regular status, but it's a little bit more difficult to be regular status because it's the holiday season. Now, today was the day that we were supposed to start playing some of the Christmas music that we got. And just to remind folks, you still got some time. If you've got a Christmas song out there that's an original, you can still submit it. You got till December 5th to submit your original Christmas songs. Send it as an MP3 format to the Rod Eccles Show at gmail.com. And again, you got to till December 5th to submit. And I must admit that I fell down on the job because this morning I was really busy doing other things and show prep, and it slipped my mind to prepare the songs that I wanted to prepare for today. So we will begin that tomorrow. We'll double up the next couple of days to make up for missing today. But just want to let people know that did not totally and completely forget about it. It was supposed to have begun today, but this morning in my show prep, because I was following leads and other stuff that was really important, that I didn't get a chance to really do the holiday music, as it is called. But we'll get some original Christmas music beginning tomorrow, but you still have until December 5th if you know a musician. I don't care how old the musician is or claims to be. As long as it's original stuff, or if it's an original cover of an old Christmas standard, any music that was originally recorded or made before or written before 1950, the old standards, White Christmas, that kind of thing. We'd love to hear those. Submit them. You can go to rodeccles.net, click on the Rod Eccles Show button at the top, and you'll get further information and details, full information details about what's acceptable, what's not, and how to submit. But it's pretty simple. Just an original music or an original cover of an old standard that is Christmas music, and just submit it. And we'll try to get it on the air for you here. We got some new stuff, and we'll be repeating some old stuff from last year as well. Thank you for all of you who've already submitted. Please understand that just because you submit does not mean it will be aired. Just to let you know, there's a jury selection type of process. We actually listen to it first. We just don't. Just so you know, we do. We actually listen to it, and then we decide whether or not it should go on the air before all you folks. Now, if you're a musician, understand that there are a lot of people that listen to this program. And last year doing this was the first year that we did it. So this is the second annual. I don't know, we got to come up with a name for it. Second annual Christmas playlist or something. I don't know. We'll have to we'll have to come up with something. And who knows? Maybe in future editions, what we'll do is we'll actually put together a CD together for people to purchase. Or what is it? A download? Nobody buys CDs anymore, right? So it's got to be some sort of downloadable thing, I guess. So we'll obviously we're not going to do that this year. It's a little late to try to figure that one out, but we'll probably start doing that next year. And of course, the artists who have their their music on the album will also, benefit from it. Because last year the artists did. Some of the artists said that they garnered new fans and made additional music sales. So people who listen to this program actually do buy stuff, folks. I go ahead and submit your music. You may get maybe 100 or so. What if you just got 10 more fans that purchase from you? I don't know what that translates into, but I know people that sustain a full-time living, musically speaking, by having less than 2,000 fans. So I don't know what's an additional 10 fans to that person? It's probably a lot of money, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, submit your original music or your original cover from an old standard. That should be easy enough to do. And you still have until, next Monday, December 5th, to submit. And tomorrow we will bring you a few of those that have made it through the cut, as it were. We'll prepare those this afternoon to make sure they're ready to go for tomorrow. Well, it was a busy weekend. I had a great time with my family for Thanksgiving Day. Hopefully you had a wonderful time with yours as well. Now, actually, being with my mother, however, now understand, my mother is 75 years old, so she's pretty set in her ways. She's that generation that still watches the big three news media. And we don't often discuss politics, but obviously the election, things came up. And some of the things that my mom was saying, I know come directly as sound bites from the lamestream media. And I had to correct her on a few points. Now, I know it sounds pretty rude and presumptuous, the son correcting the mom on some aspects. But look, even after a while, she had to concede that maybe I did know what I was talking about because I do this for a living. That's a wonderful feeling for your parent to actually concede that you actually may know something. It's how many? Because the parents have been around longer. Obviously, they have more wisdom and more experience simply because they've been on the planet longer. So they have this. There's this natural tendency to think, well, your kids can't possibly know more in general than you do. But as I pointed out different things to her, she started to come around on some things. She was upset that we had a porn star as a first lady. I said, Melania Trump never did porn. Yeah, she did. Who said she did porn? She's a model. She's a former model, and as we know, many a model, even today still, do nude photos, partially nude. That doesn't make them a porn star. Well, she did porn. No, Mom, she did not do porn. Where'd you get that from? I can show you that she did not do porn. So unless you're redefining what porn is, and of course she had to say, well, where she got the information from. No, they're trying to redefine what porn is. So then she finally conceded. Well, okay, maybe she didn't do porn. No, well, she didn't. And doing a nude photo spread for a model is no big deal, especially today, because almost all the big models have, modeling stars have done it. In fact, you even still have some of the. Well, I couldn't bring up the fact that even Madonna did something like that because she still to this day calls Madonna a cow. I crack up every time I hear my mom talk about Madonna. She's never liked Madonna. Always called Madonna a cow. I said, well, maybe when Donald Trump talks about pigs, fat pigs, he's not talking. First of all, you got to think about the industry that he was in. The Miss Universe pageant. It's all about beauty. Let's face it, it is. Those pageants are all about beauty. They try to claim that there's talent involved in there, but it's all about beauty. And, whatever the standard of beauty is of the day. And if you're, if the standard of beauty of the day happens to be that you have to be, 5'9" and 110 pounds, and you're 5'9" and you weigh 130, well, might be considered a little bit fat. But that's not who he was talking about. Most of the time, he was talking about Rosie O'Donnell, of which, when I said that, without missing a beat, my mom also said, well, yeah, she's a cow. So I learned my mom doesn't like Rosie O'Donnell either. So I don't know my mom was she didn't like Donald, and she didn't like Hillary. I guess I can't really blame her for. I understand why people who do not like Donald Trump, and did not support him. I to a degree I understand, but I also know that most of those people that did not like Trump as a candidate couldn't stand. They loathed Hillary Clinton, and trust me, my mother loathes Hillary Clinton. So I know where I get it from. But she was not a Trump fan, and again, you have to take these things piece by piece. Trump's a racist. I'm like, really? So his first two Apprentice winners that were black male and black female, I do believe, that he was trying to do. They actually ran his projects. I don't know of a racist that would do that. And again, she eventually had to concede, well, maybe we got that wrong. Well, maybe the press got that wrong, you're right. And it's simply because this is what, look, she's of that old school that still watches the three major networks. News. And that's just proof positive right there about the bias and how dangerous the lamestream media can still be. Even though we have an alternative news media today, obviously, there's still some influence of the lamestream media. There's still millions of Americans that get the bulk of their information from the lamestream media. That is annoying. It is worrisome. But those are the types of things that you have to be able to debunk with fact. Those are the type of things when you're discussing with people, you got to know your facts and where this stuff is coming from. And if you're listening to this program, you're already ahead of the game, because you're getting some real information to help debunk some of that false information, that false narrative that's out there. Because I'm giving you the facts, and I'm telling you where I'm getting it from, and you can read it for yourself, or listen to it for yourself, or watch it for yourself. I'm not telling you what to think. That's the other misnomer about talk radio, is that we're all supposed to be a bunch of mind-numbed robots. Well, we're not. We're all free thinkers. There is, I had the opportunity of listening to Sean Combs' radio program over the weekend. I could only stand 30 minutes of it. Yeah, I take the slings and arrows, folks, so you don't have to. And let me tell you, the stuff that was coming out of the callers' mouths on the Sean Combs. Sean Combs is not Sean Combs. Oh, for crying out loud! What's his? Alan Combs. Alan Combs. He was half of the Hannity and Combs program before Hannity went solo. Alan Combs, and the stuff that was coming out of his callers and listeners' mouths when they called in was, it hurt my ears. It really hurt my ears. Just not because of any of the facts that they may have gotten correct once in a while. Well, I only listened for about 30 minutes, so. But most of the garbage that they were spewing has already been proven to have been debunked, even by some in the lamestream media. And yet these fools were still out there trying to propagate the same bullshit. It was amazing. So what I heard was a half hour, and Combs wasn't even trying to call out certain people who were obviously telling falsehoods. He wasn't even trying to call them out on it. I mean, at least when you're listening to real talk radio on the conservative side, most hosts will call out people. And then sometimes the caller will actually call out the host. And look, I've had people call me out on certain things. If anybody remembers the USS Liberty, which I didn't know hardly anything about at the time, they were trying to say that I said things that I didn't say. But, hey, they were taking me to task for not knowing about it. Okay, fine. That's fair. That's fair. So I went and learned a little bit about it. Now, I'm not an expert on what happened in 1968 in the USS Liberty, or 67. Other people are. But at least there was some point where the host would call out the caller, and the caller could and sometimes called out the host. There was none of that. It was just a total love fest. Oh, I guess they're just stroking each other's ego. Oh, I know. It's so sad we lost. I can't believe we lost to Trump of all people. What a discouragement. What a slap in the face. It's just terrible to lose to Trump, right? Awful. How can you possibly lose to the Donald? I know they're still crying and whining in their porridge over losing to Trump. And of course, that leads into the fact that even Jill Stein is now out there trying to challenge the results in only 3 states. Well, first they're doing was now understand they have got to get all of this done by December 13th. Which means they've roughly got about 2 weeks. And hell, they still haven't even finished counting the original count, I guess, in Michigan and California yet. So how are you going to do a recount if you haven't even finished the original count? I don't. And now, well, I got some stuff here on Clinton. Yeah, she's. Can we get to December 14th already? Better yet, can we just skip ahead to December 19th? Look, folks, these folks are not done trying to steal this. Now, I told you before, I said, this isn't going to be the end of this. Hopefully it's the end of the Clintons. She'll just go away and continue curling up with a book and reading it and drinking whatever she likes to drink for her alcoholic beverage of choice. But evidently, they're not staying away long enough. And I have said that this is not going to go away easily, that these people are going to try to steal this, and they're going to try as long as they can possibly try. Now, will they actually start, throwing around lawsuits? I wouldn't put it past them. Now, Jill Stein doesn't have the money to do that. That's the one good thing. But Clinton does. Clinton does. So if they find any of these so-called anomalies in Wisconsin, they might pull a Gore, an Al Gore, and take some of the results to court. I don't, folks. We can't relax on this. I have said it before. This is no time to relax and the day to celebrate was the day after the election when we found out the results. Trump was the president-elect. That was the day. Now it's back to work because these people, they're working. They're working behind the scenes to steal this election from you, even after the election is over. Don't doubt me. We'll get into this as the program unfolds.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $14 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
835-3226 is the number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show. I had somebody ask me over the weekend, do you take live calls? Yes, I take calls. Yeah, but do you take live calls? Well, I'm a live program, so when a caller calls in, they happen to be live. Well, just because you're live doesn't mean you take live calls. Well, I take calls that happen to be live, on the air, unfiltered. Is that good enough? Well, just so many of you talk shows, you don't take live calls. Okay. Here's the number. You can call in any time the show is live. Well, does that mean I have to call in within the specified time frame? I can't call anytime? Well, sir, if you called in at 1 p.m. when the show is not on the air, you wouldn't be live, now would you? Really? Do I have to put up with this kind of stuff? Unfortunately, sadly, yes. And yes, that is a real conversation that happened over the weekend. Somebody challenging me on taking live calls. Well, I mean, have the left redefined everything that they've now redefined what a live call is, which is why this numbskull was so confused about me taking live calls on the air? Well, I guess, when you look at it in retrospect, you can understand how some people, they get a little confused because there are a number of programs that are delayed. That in a certain market, they may not be played live. Michael Savage is one. I don't know when Michael Savage actually is live because I hear him, almost at all times of the day. I don't know when he's live. And that goes, well, Mark Levin, I do know when he's live, but again, here's a guy that's on from 6 p.m. to midnight. You would think that he has a 6-hour program, but no, he's got 3 hours only. But when is he actually live? So I understand the confusion, which is why this program, I don't like usually to have it played on a replay basis like they do. I like to have it live for everybody to listen to and to be able to call in because it can be confusing sometimes, which is partly the reason why I was being so patient with this gentleman. But after a certain point, you got to, do you not understand what live means, I guess? And when you're thinking about from the liberal standpoint, when they're changing the meanings of so many words, I can understand how this guy can be a little confused. Maybe I shouldn't blame him. It's our educational system and our indoctrination system within the lamestream media that does this sort of thing. But anyway, we are live 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time, which means we're drive time out in California, by the way, right now. The Western time zones, drive time, which is a good time to be on. And you can call in live too from your cell phone, even. Yes, that's a number that can be utilized via your cell phone. Think about it.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
The state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. Here on this Monday, November the 28th, in the year of our Lord 2016, which also happens to be Military Monday and National French Toast Day, which is kind of an oxymoron because this is America, but we call it French toast, and it's not even invented by the French. It's actually credited to the ancient Romans. So, I don't know, we just call it American Toast Day. National American Toast Day, since we're here in America. 603-835-3226 is the number to call, whether or not you are a liberty lover or an ecclesiastite. And for those, there are a lot of new listeners coming on board every week, I understand, from the number. So let me give a brief explanation of what an ecclesiastite is. An ecclesiastite is somebody who strives to know and understand the truth, no matter where that truth may lead them. If that truth challenges their currently believed world view, then so be it. They just want to know the truth. And they understand that they get nothing but the truth here. And that's why they're called an ecclesiastite. Yes, Eccles is my actual last name, Eccles. You can look it up. And it is the abbreviation that is commonly used in most Bibles for the book of Ecclesiastes, which again is a book of wisdom, knowledge, teaching, all that kind of wonderful stuff. So yeah, it's kind of all rolled into one. And that's what an ecclesiastite is, a truth seeker. Not just a knowledge seeker, but a truth seeker. One who studies the truth. And because knowledge can be false, by the way, as we know. Knowledge can be false, like the fake news stuff, which they're blaming on the right wing. Only the left could invent something, perpetuate it constantly over and over again, and then when it backfires on them, blame the right for it. Hey, it's just incredible. And they would have, if this were 20 years ago, they would have gotten away with it. But it isn't 20 years ago, and we know the difference today. And most people who have a shred of decency about them will know that much of the fake news does not come from the right of the political aisle. It comes from the left of the political aisle. Donald Trump's a racist? Isn't that a false news story? Nobody can prove that Donald Trump was a racist. One of his transition team members, Bannon, he's a racist. He's an anti-Semite. He hates Jews. He works for a Jewish publication. How do you hate a Jew? But look, they invented this on the left. The more you repeat a lie, it eventually becomes the truth. They learned that from Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler didn't invent it, but he definitely perfected it in his propaganda machine. You tell a lie often enough, and people will begin to believe it. And, of course, you got to have a willing media to go along with it. And we've had a media that has been willing to go along with the leftist agenda for decades now. Hey, most of you out there under the sound of my voice probably do not remember actually watching the nightly news with Walter Cronkite, the most trusted man in America. Well, after Walter, what was it, 82 that he retired, I do believe, things started coming out about Walter Cronkite, about he was not a very nice man. I guess behind the scenes he wasn't. He was rather a he worked for CBS, right? It was CBS. He's rather a tyrant, I understand. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. Especially considering some of the sources are also left-leaning, and I don't know why they'd want to discredit the most trusted man in America. He was rated as the most trusted man in America at one point. It was Walter Cronkite, a news anchor. But Walter, don't misunderstand that in his latter days, Walter Cronkite was also a big leftist. He really was. But some would say that Walter Cronkite, being the most trusted man in America, set the tone and the agenda for the mainstream media becoming the lamestream media. So you could say that Walter Cronkite, in some people's view, is the father of modern leftist media. Again, I have never done a dissertation on Walter Cronkite, so I don't know the full facts on the man. Maybe I should do that. But there are a number of different articles and books about him that do not paint him in a very positive light. So take that for what it's worth. Evidently, the most trusted man in America should not have had that distinguished honor. Clinton is to participate in the recount. But before we get to that, we have some people who've been patiently waiting on the lines. Let's go to take a call here. 406. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got?
Yeah, Rod, good morning. I'm calling in as your guest this morning, John Paul Valley from Montana.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
It is wonderful to hear you. I think we've spoken before, have we not?
Yeah, we have. We did a show months ago that Laura set up.
Way back in the
spring. She asked me to come on this show today and do an interview, whichever you'd like to talk about.
Well, sir, one of the things that I think we're reaching out to you is to sort of get the military perspective, if you will, of some of President-elect Trump's choices and who you think might be able to fill out some of the remaining, although he's got he just filled a few more holes over the weekend, but who you think might round out his cabinet as far as a national security and military perspective is. Do you think he's already headed on the right track with some of his picks already for the national security as far as that's concerned?
Yes. I think he's and his staff, Steve Bannon, Kellyanne, they've done their homework. And of course, they put General Mike Flynn in as the head of National Security Office in the White House, and they named K.P. McFarland, who I know, as his assistant on the NS National Security Team. We'll just call it that. Now the question is on Joe Mattis, retired 4-star Marine. Hopefully that'll come out today as Secretary of Defense, and that would be an excellent choice. He's a real warrior. He understands what's happened to the gutting of the military under Obama and the lessening of our capability to provide the American people a strong national defense posture. I think I would recommend Alan West also as maybe the Deputy Secretary of Defense. I think that would be a good position. Now, part of security, is as you know, our border and the Homeland Security. That's all part of the whole big protecting America. And myself, I'm pushing Sheriff David Clark to be the head of Department of Homeland Security, or possible that he could head up the FBI. He would be outstanding, I think, Sheriff David Clark from Milwaukee. Go ahead.
I think that was a name that probably surprised a lot of people with Sheriff Clark out of Milwaukee. We do know him as one of America's sheriffs. Him and Sheriff Arpaio are known as America's sheriffs. But
and Arpaio may get the Border Patrol.
I'm sorry?
Joe Arpaio may get the head of the Border Patrol.
Is his name being bandied about for that now?
Yes.
Well, that would be...
You got Sheriff Clark and Sheriff Arpaio, both outstanding law enforcement people, and so they're in contention. So we'll see what happens with that. But they should, I would think, they were looking at Giuliani as Department of Homeland Security, but now I think he's probably looking stronger, maybe released today as Secretary of State.
Okay. Giuliani's still in contention for Secretary of State because I think that's what he was trying to say that he wanted. Yeah. And there are a lot of people that have reservations. They think maybe that his, not necessarily his beliefs, but his posture might be too soft to be Secretary of State. Do you agree with that?
No, it's just the opposite. Matter of fact, they're putting out that he's been too hard on militant Islam, which is what we want to be. So, and I've traveled with him on several trips to Europe. He's very good overseas with people. He's strong. He just did a tremendous job in the last month of the election cycle and voting in President-elect Trump. That's a possibility. John Bolton would be another possibility for Secretary of State. So I think you're going to see perhaps those names come out today or tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Definitely not Romney.
Yeah, I maybe that was just a fig leaf speaking to Romney to the more moderate wing of the Republican Party.
Yeah, what they used to call it, a red herring or something. Just throw something out there.
Now, getting back to Sheriff Clark, did you think that was a surprise that his name was being in serious contention, seriously considered?
No, I mean, I've been recommending that to the Trump organization for months, and I had Sheriff Clark out here in Montana as my guest earlier this year. We had 500 people, and it was the night after he was voted the nation's top law enforcement officer. And he understands what has to be done as far as policing in America, and he understands what has to be done with the inner cities. I can't think of anybody that would be better. That's why I'd be good in the FBI too, because we need a law enforcement officer in the FBI, not a lawyer. Big difference.
So you don't think that President-elect Trump would keep Comey, current FBI Director Comey?
Are you kidding? Say goodbye to him. Don't let the door hit them on the you-know-what on the way out.
Now, what do you think about this Jill Stein move to recount a handful of states, starting with Wisconsin? And keep in mind, they only have until December 13th to get this done.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think it's just a waste of time and money, and I think in the end they'll fail. But, and then Hillary, who said that she would stand by the election results now, she's jumped on board with Jill Stein. But, I understand that Hillary's very sick, and that's why you haven't seen much of her at all. And from the doctor that analyzed her face and her looks, that she possibly has liver failure as well as Parkinson's disease. So we watch that very closely, her medical condition. I think she's much sicker than people think.
Well, I would assume that liver failure would help to corroborate her heavy drinking, because it's been said that she's a heavy drinker ever since her...
very heavy, yeah. Especially after she lost and started throwing things, and it was an hour and a half delayed. They had to get her all fixed up and put a ton of makeup on her. But and then Bill Clinton, he's very sick as well. So a lot of things can happen. But let me tell you, Rod, this, and I've been saying this for quite a while, I wrote an article on it, that this election, a lot had to do with it was a divine intervention to save America. And I really feel that's true.
I do too. Yeah, I've often said on this program that Trump may not be the one that many of us want, but he's the one that God said that I've sent to get you out of your funk, so to speak, at this particular point. So either you trust me or you don't. So it looks like the American people may have decided, well, let's trust in God's pick for now and see where we can take it. Now, what else you got going on up in Montana now?
Well, I'm leaving for Washington, D.C. On Sunday. I'm giving a speech. I'll leave Montana, go to Washington, D.C., and give a speech on American-Israeli relationships, future relationships under the Trump presidency. So that ought to be interesting. It's a council back there called Middle East Truth, so I'll be talking about that. And I'm working very closely with General Flynn on a rapprochement with Russia and Syria. We have found an outstanding leader to replace Assad that the Russians have met with. And so I'm working a lot of the national security issues right now with General Flynn.
Now, is there any room for you within the Trump administration? Has anything been floated to you so far that you're free to talk about?
No, not really. But kiddingly, I sent General Flynn. I said the only position I would accept would be ambassador to Ireland. I said it sort of jokingly, but I'm getting up. I'm going to be 77 here tomorrow, so it's.
Happy birthday,
to
sir!
The point where, thank you. You get better if you can work by the scene. I don't know whether you realize that, but I wrote the American First papers in 2014, and you can Google it. And I sent that to Trump earlier this year, and he picked it up as his national theme, America First. So I was happy to participate in that way. The alternate theme I gave to him was the Path to Glory from the Revolutionary War days. But he picked up on the American First, which became his national theme. So we're happy my organization, Stand Up America, could participate in that way. And it convinced me that if you give something good to President-elect Trump, he'll take it. He'll run with it. And that's what I like about him. He listens to people.
Yeah, in spite of what people say that he doesn't listen, actually you don't get to where he is in success in business without listening to people around you and having good advisors around you. He's very good at that.
Correct.
General, I do have to run. I do thank you for your time, taking time out of your busy schedule, even at 75 or 77 now. Congratulations and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see more of you and hear more of you in the future. But as being a part of the Trump administration, that would be kind of interesting. I'd like to see that. It may not be in your plans, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that would love to hear that and see that.
Well, I'm sort of safe out here in Montana. I'm not sure about Washington, D.C.
That is true. I refuse to go to Washington, D.C. as well. Thank you so much for your time,
Okay,
General.
well.
Have a wonderful day and wonderful birthday tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
General. We'll be right back, folks. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
$835-3226 is the number that you can always utilize to call this program, the Rod Eccles Show. It is toll-free and with most calling plans around the Western world, as it were. Now, I don't know about South America, to tell you the truth, but I suppose if you have a cell plan, it's probably included. 603-835-3226. And thanks to the wonderful General. Yes, he has been on the program before. Love that deep voice. It just sort of, it's not just fatherly and grandfatherly. You know, ever notice somebody who has a really deep voice you pay attention to? What was his name? The singer. There have been a bunch of, like Lou Rawls. Remember him? Lou Rawls, deep voice, baritone type of bass voice, and Teddy Pendergrass had a deep voice, and a few others, even Tom Jones. It gave a twist to one of Prince, the music formerly known and recently known as Prince, one of his songs. Remember Kiss? I just want your extra time in your kiss. Yeah, he was an Irishman, by the way. He was Irish, right? Irish, yes, not Scottish, Irish. Sean Connery's Scottish, but Tom Jones was Irish, and deep voice. People just they gravitate toward, they listen to that type of, which is sometimes it's hard to listen to a a man with a high-pitched voice. We don't really view them as being men oftentimes. And, you know, let's be fair. A person can't really do all too much with their voice if they have a naturally high voice. Although it seems that, maybe this is sort of inappropriate to say, but Japanese men, as by Western standards, as little as they are, they often have deep voices too, especially as they get older. And I think that's also part of their language, their speech pattern is to deepen their voice. Russians as well. Russians tend to have a, or any of those Slavic nations, males tend to have a deeper voice. Now that could be genetics. That could be just the general speech pattern and how they learn how to speak. But people tend to listen to those. Thankfully, I have a fairly deep voice. Alto, I think it is. But at least it's not high-pitched. Oh, no.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Zero 835-3226. That is, of course, the number to call if you wish to express your opinion or share your knowledge of some of the things that we're talking about this morning. And I know the big thing there are two big things on people's, well, at least the leftist lips this morning, and that is the recount in Wisconsin and potentially in Michigan and other places, Pennsylvania, as well as the death of Comrade Fidel Castro. What is there to say about Castro? Well, actually, there's quite a bit. But first, let's tackle this Clintonian thing that is, it's Clintonian. It's Clintonian in its. I'm just curious as to how in the hell they're able to snare Jill Stein in this and get her to try to pony up the cash. The Clintons are very sneaky. Even when the Clintons, I'm under the impression now, and I hate to say this, folks, but I think until the Clintons are 6 feet under, by natural causes, of course, I don't want people to take them out or anything. Absolutely not. I think that's just they're not worthy of the effort, actually, to do that and the risk to do that. They're really not. They'll take themselves out by their own actions and lifestyle soon enough. And the general recently, just a few minutes ago, talked about her poor health. We all know that she's in poor health. Well, we know that Bill's in, but you just look at Bill and tell him he's not completely healthy. And there have been times when Bill was on the stump for Hillary and chewing his tongue and wide-eyed like a deer, just staring off into nothing. Bill is not all there either. I find it interesting how they always talked about Ronald Reagan as suffering. Oh, Ronald Reagan had dementia and Alzheimer's in his first term as president. Nancy Reagan ran that White House. Nancy Reagan ran everything. It wasn't Ronnie. It was Nancy. Nancy was a real president because Ronnie was, he was suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia already. And yet there was no evidence of that while Ronald Reagan was president. There was no in his public appearances there was no evidence of it. But Bill, we see all kinds of evidence that Bill might have other things going on besides his heart. And nobody says anything. Hillary Clinton, again, here's a woman, she stumbles and passes out at public appearances. And again, that gets swept under the carpet. But yet Ronnie, somebody just says once, well, Ronnie may have dementia. And everybody runs with it. And then when he finally does get it and succumb to Alzheimer's, see, we told you, Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's back in his first term. Which really couldn't have been, because at the state of that particular point in time, medical science at that time, you could not extend the life as far out as you can today with people with Alzheimer's. We didn't know nearly half as much about Alzheimer's back then as we do today. And medical treatments were just non-existent. So for him to pass away when he did, so far after he left the White House, and what we know about Alzheimer's today, it was highly unlikely for him to have gotten Alzheimer's and suffered from Alzheimer's, even in his second term, let alone his first term. There's just too much time in between. Now, today, obviously, people are living longer with dementia and Alzheimer's due to the research that we've done over the past 1 to 2 decades. We've learned a lot more about it. Like a number of diseases, we've taken a number of leaps forward in treating some of these things. Now, understand this. I know this is an off topic from what I wanted to get onto, but understand this about medical science. Medical science, a lot of times, is led by the evil pharmaceutical companies. Now, to a certain extent, people are not all that off when they're talking about pharmaceutical greed. Because most of the time, pharmaceutical companies do not look for cures, they look for treatments. Now, why do they look for treatments? Well, because treatments mean that you got to continually taking drugs in order to give maintenance to that particular disease without curing it. One of the things I've often said about like the disease of diabetes is that nobody's in a rush to find a real cure for diabetes, because the maintenance drug industry of diabetes is huge. We're talking billions of dollars a year. Now, does that mean that medical science doesn't want to find a cure? Sure, I believe that the medical professionals of this country, and indeed around the world, want to find cures for just about every disease that we've got. But they have to sometimes work in concert with giant pharmaceutical and small pharmaceutical and biochemical companies around the globe. And oftentimes those finding the cures is very expensive, so they have to recoup some of that investment back in the form of treatment drugs, which is why we continually get drugs for older diseases that get better and better and better. And we get treatment regimens that are better and better and better, and things get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. The hepatitis C, I think when the first cure for hepatitis C came out, what was the cost? It was a staggering, like $100,000 to do. But I understand that the cost has dramatically dropped by at least 50% now. It's well under $50,000. I mean, it's still expensive for the average American, which is why insurance kicks in. But remember, just half a decade ago, there was no cure for hepatitis C. There was really no maintenance drugs for hepatitis C. And I think it was Naomi Judd. She retired from music with her daughter, the musical duo, The Judge, because she did have hepatitis and she needed to be able to manage it better. And so she had to leave, touring. Because touring, I guess, is, for hepatitis people, it would have been very difficult to manage it. Now, again, I'm not an expert on the hepatitis, of any of the hepatitises, let alone C. But just from what I understand, obviously it's a very devastating liver disease. Now, I don't know if that's what Hillary Clinton is suffering from, or if she's suffering from the good old-fashioned fatty liver syndrome from drinking too much. Again, I don't have any evidence or proof that she is an alcoholic. We've seen numerous pictures of her of late, putting back some beer. I never would have pictured Hillary as being a beer drinker, but she is from the South. But that doesn't really mean she should be a beer. I always picture her, because she's in politics and, wealth, and that she'd be a Scotch or vodka or wine type of person. But evidently, I guess maybe she's a beer drinker. I don't know. Well, she can do that if she wants. I'm not going to hold that against her. Unless, she's drinking on the job, that's a different story. Now, if she's an alcoholic, that represents a whole different set of circumstances and problems, because you can't have a commander-in-chief who's inebriated half the time. Look, you can be an alcoholic and still be president. Wasn't George W. Bush and isn't he an alcoholic? I mean, he doesn't drink, obviously, anymore. He's a reformed alcoholic. Is that what they call people who are alcoholics who stop drinking, AA and all that kind of stuff? Are they reformed alcoholics? I'm not sure. But she can't, you can't be an active alcoholic and be president of the United States. It just does not work. Again, I'm not saying that Hillary Clinton is, because I don't know if she is or isn't. But from, the stories that I've read from both left and right sources, she's a heavy drinker. Just because you're a heavy drinker does not mean you're an alcoholic. Let's get that clear. But I understand that she's a heavy drinker. And I guess when she lost, that got worse. Maybe she wasn't an alcoholic before, and maybe losing the presidential race election has transformed her into an alcoholic. That's highly possible as well. I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of the Clinton family. And I would dare say that most people who are writing about them do not know what goes on in the inner sanctum. Because the Clintons are pretty tight about what goes on in their inner circle. And if you violate any of that, you get ejected pretty quickly. Even if it's only temporary, you still get ejected. Look at Uma Abedin when her soon-to-be ex-husband, Anthony Weiner, did what he did and ensnared Hillary Clinton once again in an email scandal. Uma got summarily ejected pretty darn quick. Now, when Comey said there's nothing there in these emails to warrant any further investigation of the Clinton email scandal, then she was brought back in. But I'm telling you, it's not the same. It was probably not the same as it was before. Or maybe it was. Maybe it was one of those things that you keep your friends close and your enemies closer, and those who could probably totally destroy you even closer. Which would have been Uma, I'm assuming. In any case. So now we have this this recount that is going to take place in Wisconsin. Of all places. When I saw this happened just before Thanksgiving last week, and Jill Stein had raised $2.8 million because it costs money. It costs a lot of money to do a recount. Depending on the state, it could be as little as $500,000 and up to $1.5 million, depending on the state, what they say the cost is for that. And again, obviously, national politics is not cheap. I don't think that that's what the founders intended for national offices to be put out of the reach of the ordinary person, but that's the way it's become, and that's just the way it is now. Now, that doesn't mean that this is the way it always has to be. We can change it. We, the people, can change it. We fail to understand and realize the power that we, the people, have. Remember, we're still the bosses here. We're still the ones that are supposed to be in control and can be in control. And it's quite easy, if the American people actually really wanted to have some change, and this is why I say a lot of times when we hear all the grumbling from people, from the so-called American population, about certain things, and I just look at who they elect and who they re-elect, and I think, well, they're not really serious. And when you complain about certain things and you continually re-elect the people that perpetuate that problem that you're grumbling about, well, then you're obviously not serious about changing it. Well, obviously this election, there are enough Americans that were serious about making a change, and that's why we elected Donald Trump. So the power is still within the hands of the people. But we just can't stop at one election. folks. We really can't. I mean, this is something that we've got to stay actively engaged every single day from here on out, or there will be no change in Washington. Donald Trump is only one man, and without the support and demands of the American people and the pressure that the American people can put on Washington, D.C. and their representatives there, Donald Trump is not going to be able to drain the swamp very much. So in order for there to be a real noticeable change in D.C., we've got to be able to elect more than just Trump. You've got to start taking into account all your local and your state level representatives. You know, that includes your state senator and your House of Representatives, congressmen. You got to make sure that you elect people there as well. You can't keep re-electing people like Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and expect the president to be able to make dramatic changes, because they're going to fight him every step of the way. And they're going to look at their re-election as being and meaning that that's exactly what you want them to do. Now, and you got to look how much it has taken for the Democrats to even come to the point. I had a story here in some that Democrats are looking for. Where was that in the paper? I think it was last week's paper pile. The Democrats were starting to look inward to see what because they've lost so many seats all across this country from local and national elections. They've just been losing since 2010. And they're finally now just starting to ask questions within their own ranks. What have we done wrong? What do we got to do? Because we're losing and losing and losing. Just now. It's taken them to this point. So you got to understand, you've got to keep the pressure on by electing the right people. You can't keep re-electing the same people that keep perpetuating the same problems that we keep perpetually grumbling about. You know, you don't want to deal with this sort of recount, this useless recount in Wisconsin. Well, then, you know, you got to change who's in Washington, D.C., so this sort of thing doesn't come up in an election, because this person would have not. You can't contribute to their cause. There's no way in hell Jill Stein should have even gotten, you know, a 0.2% of the vote, let alone 2% in this country. I mean, she shouldn't have been able to compete at all outside of New York and California. Really. Yeah, and you know, and again, California is not a lost cause, and neither is New York, the state of New York. Because again, if you look at a county electoral map, you see a lot of red in both those states, and the blue comes from the heavily populated, you know, down states. It's amazing. Both states, California and New York State, the vast majority of Democratic support comes from the southern portion of their states. You know, there was a movement back in the 70s when New York City was in such financial dire strait that you know, the upper part of the state wanted the tri-state area, New York City, Long Island, and in that area, Yonkers and such, to be broken off into their own state, because they were tired of their tax money going down there to save those idiots. They were. I remember that there was a small movement to have that done. Obviously, it never got anywhere, and there have been a number of states that have over the years that have petitioned or tried to petition to break up the state. Michigan was one of them, into the Upper Peninsula and Lower Peninsula, because the Upper Peninsula was far more conservative than the Lower Peninsula, and they were tired of their tax money going down to shore up Flint and Detroit, and them being left out in the cold, so to speak. And California's the same way. You know, they wanted to break up the state into as many as 8 smaller states, but definitely 2 states: the state of Jefferson, which is Northern California, and in California, which is Southern California. So, you know, this is nothing new. Nothing, and it comes about because some people, they work really hard and they get tired of having to try to deal with this on a constant basis. But this is something that you have to be perpetually vigilant on. You can't let up. You can't let up. You just can't. Or else when you do, they'll slip in somebody that you absolutely and totally and completely loathe. You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
There you go, a little bit of Bollywood style music there. Just as a side note, I am a purveyor of many kinds of music, and there are a rare few genres that I don't like at all. But I like a plethora of different styles. And if you've ever watched I have watched a Bollywood movie. Now, didn't understand a word of it. Because it's in one of the many Indian languages, but the music, they're musicals, and I don't like musicals. I don't like musicals at all. Maybe the key for me to watching a musical is not being able to understand the dialogue and just sticking with the music part, because the Bollywood musicals, they're actually very fun. They're awfully colorful, and they're grand. I mean, it's not like, musicals of today where there's somebody just bust out into song and it's usually just, a couple of people or a few people involved in the dance sequence. But these Bollywood movies, at least the one that I saw, I mean, it seems like all the dance numbers, it took like 50 people to do the dance number. But, I like to think of myself as being a cultured person. I'm open to different experiences. Even if I don't fully understand them, it's just wonderful to see what man has been able to accomplish and do in various parts of the globe. It really is. It's fascinating when you study your fellow man Now, I study human beings. And that's why I know that people are the same all over the globe, no matter what. They have the same basic needs, the same basic wants and desires, and we've always had those same basic needs and desires. We have not changed. And to see that in now we're capable of seeing it a lot more today simply because of the internet. We're seeing things that we've never been able to see before, even with our politicians. And so the internet is a great tool to keep an eye on our politicians, for one. It can be highly distracting. Yes, the internet can be very distracting, but it can be a very useful tool, and it has been. And I think that has been part of the reason why Donald Trump was such a success this time around, is because of the internet. And the lamestream media wasn't able to perpetuate what they normally perpetuate. Just saying.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Rod Eccles.
Hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. I am, of course, your lovable host, El Rod, the Rod of Truth, the lightning rod of truth, and Truth Hammer, and so many of those other truth acronyms that I wear with pride. You guys have come up with those nicknames, and I thank you for those. I am flattered by them. Here it is, Monday, November the 28th in the year of our Lord 2016. Call-in number 603-835-3226. It's 835-3226. If you feel the desire, the need to call in. It is also Military Monday. Hoorah to our military personnel and their families, as well as it being National French Toast Day. I love French toast. I love me some good French toast. Can I get me some French toast here? I guess if it were John Kerry actually saying it. Oh, Muffy, can I get me some French toast here? Yeah. As we continue to broadcast from the bunkerized studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire. Can't tell you how much I do appreciate and love this wonderful state. Can't tell you how much I love and appreciate this entire country. Everywhere I've been has just been fantastic. everywhere I've lived and everywhere I've visited, it has been American. I don't know why people hate Americans. I mean, I guess sometimes I can understand. We go overseas, or there's this little bit of American arrogance, I guess. But let's let's be real. When it comes to certain some nationalities out there around the world, Americans don't hold a candle to them as far as arrogance is concerned. Really, on a nationalized level. I mean, you think Americans are arrogant? Try French. Now, when I was in Paris, I didn't really experience this French arrogance. I think because of the time that I went, and they were just very happy to have tourists there at that particular point in time, because Paris took a huge hit after the a year ago after the Bataclan attack, and all those people were killed, and in other places in France as well. Since then, truck driver mowing down people, literally. So they've had their issues. I think that has sort of reined in their national arrogance a little bit. But I didn't. It really wasn't. Of course, there were a couple of people that you had to deal with at some of the national monuments that I went to, like at Versailles. There were a couple of French people staffing the Versailles that were a little bit, shall we say, showed a little bit of national arrogance. But that's to be expected. Anywhere you go, I don't care, what country you are on the planet. That's to be expected. And people are right to have their own national pride. I have no problem with that. And when you do something or say something that in their country that affects their national pride, I think they have a right to be a little bit arrogant about it. Look, you come to this country, you come to America, and you try to disrespect America or Americans in any form. I think Americans have a full right to be a little bit arrogant about it. Plain and simple. And I also think that there is a sort of justifiable national arrogance when we go abroad. We're the nation, after all, along with Britain, that saved the world twice in a century. No, there's really nobody else that can say that. And yet we don't run around thinking that we own the globe, like everybody's got to bow down to it. No, we don't think that. We do have a slight arrogance as far as being an exceptional country and being the new kid on the block, generally speaking, when it comes to countries and cultures. We are fairly new compared to most of the rest of the world. And to be as big, as successful, and as powerful as we've become in such a short period of time, yeah, I understand why other nations might be a little bit jealous of us. They've been around for thousands of years in some cases, and they just don't have what we have. And that's an understandable jealousy. I get it. I understand why some countries want to try to, drain the American piggy bank, as it were. You got to be able to understand, before you can work with other people in other countries, you have to understand them. Now, understand that you've got a culture that's, 1, 2, 3, 5,000 years old, and you're still considered today to be a third world nation. And you look across either pond, the Pacific or the Atlantic, and you see this brash young country of, less than 250 years. We got a history that's basically less than 400 years old. And these people they're upset. We've been around for 5,000 years. They've been around for 400 years, and look what they've been able to do, and we haven't been able to even match them. There's a little bit of jealousy there. That's a natural human emotion. I get it. I get why some people dislike the U.S. of A. But the reason why we got to where we are is because we are a melting pot and took in ideas from all over the place. Where a lot of these other countries, they have such nationalistic pride that they don't accept outsiders very well. That's also the truth. Any case, Clinton's and the recount. Wisconsin officials are going to set the timeline for the recount. This is from the Associated Press. Wisconsin elected officials are expected to meet later today, to discuss a possible timeline for a recount of the state's presidential election. The recount comes at the request of Green Party candidate Jill Stein, who's really nothing more than the communist, who says it's important to determine whether hacking may have affected the results. Stein says she plans to request recounts in Pennsylvania and Michigan as well. Now, President-elect Donald Trump narrowly won Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania has a small lead. There is a small lead in Michigan. They still haven't even finished counting Michigan yet, and she wants to do a recount. Now, let me tell you something. I don't believe Jill Stein is doing this all of her own volition. Seriously, the reasoning behind it, hacking. We know that there have been some terrible incidents going on in places like California, Texas, New York, Florida. And she doesn't seem to be interested in recounting in those places. I wonder why. So now she wants to recount Michigan, and Michigan hasn't even really certified its election results. The last I checked, Michigan hasn't certified its election results yet. How can you do a recount before the original counting's done? You can't unless there is a plan. And I think, folks, if they've told you what that plan is to try to steal the election again. Now, the last thing because Jill Stein is a full-fledged communist in my book, the last thing she wants is a full-fledged capitalist in the White House. So, of course, she's going to be able to team up. She's going to team up with the Clintons and do the Clintons' dirty work for the Clintons. I find it amazing that this woman was able to raise, nearly $3 million to do this when she had a difficult time raising money all throughout her year-long campaign. Was Stein even on the ballot in all 50? I don't think she was on the ballot in all 50 states because she didn't have the money to get there, did she? No, or the ground game. No. But all of a sudden, she comes up with $3 million to contest and ask for a recount in 3 states. 3 considered to be 3 key states now, by the way. Not just any 3 states, but 3 key states. This is yet another attempt to subvert the will of the American people. Well, Rod, the will of the American people is that Hillary won the popular vote. Well, that's also in contention. I've said that they're gonna trot out this that Donald Trump does not have a mandate. Forget the near electoral landslide. Let's just forget that because that's what they're going to say. Forget it. Because Hillary Trump, Hillary Trump, I don't think that'll ever happen. Because Hillary Clinton, she got the popular vote. Well, when we look at the popular vote, and then we look at the votes that are in dispute as far as being potentially illegal, well, we're looking at, well over 7 million potential illegal votes in this election, the vast majority of which went towards Clinton. Well, not all. There has probably been some cheating, as it were, in favor of Trump. I get it. But the vast majority of it, well over 90% of the cheating that potential cheating that went on was in favor of Hillary Clinton. We're talking 7 million, at least. What was this? We know potentially 3 million illegal votes were cast for Hillary from illegals and people voting twice or more than once. And I think I just heard a number over the weekend of some, 4 to 7 million dead people voted. Well, that's pretty easy to find out if a dead person voted. Now, we don't know how the dead person voted, but it's pretty easy to find out if a dead person voted or not. So even if we just take out the 3 million, there's still 4 million people, at least 4 million dead people voted in this election. You know the vast majority of them went for Clinton. And she's winning the popular vote by less than 2 million votes. So if we were to take that 4 million votes in the contention and take them out, well, Hillary actually lost the popular vote by some 2 million votes. I'm just looking at logic here, folks. It's called do the math. It's called do the math. And there's one thing that needing ID going into a polling place would do. It would eliminate dead people from voting. Now, maybe it wouldn't eliminate, even if it didn't eliminate any of the illegal immigrants from voting, because, in some states, illegal immigrants are getting driver's licenses now. And that's usually a state-issued ID like a driver's license or non-driver's license is usually sufficient for ID. Now, what happens if you just eliminate the dead vote? The dead people, the people that are 6 feet under, the people who have died before the election took place. What if you just eliminated that? I think you would find a big shift in even a lot of local. Now, understand, even with all this voter fraud going on, Hillary Clinton still didn't win the electoral vote. Democrats still lost elections all across the country. Now, can you imagine how right-wing this country would be if we got rid of the dead people vote? Do you think Jill Stein would be out there asking for a recount? I don't think she'd have a leg to stand on. When you're talking about recounting and Trump won by some 60,000 votes, in one of these states, I don't know how you consider that to be close, that desires a recount. But hey, that's what they're trying to tell you, that there is some cheating going on out there and Trump did it. No, Trump wasn't the one doing it. Wasn't Trump. But in any case, because you're looking at nearly 50, 46 or so, 45, 46 electoral votes in those three states. That could swing the election towards Hillary. I'm going to say I doubt that would happen, but never put anything past the Clintons and her people. When it comes to thievery, when it comes to illegality and getting away with it, and just plain evil-lishness. Or is it just evilness? It's not evil-ish, it is evil. So electoral voters are also being deluged with death threats in multiple states. So just screw it. Throw out the Constitution. You're gonna have to vote the way we, very hurt, who got our feelings hurt because we didn't get our way, millennials, which is the minority in this election. And I don't know how you can stand up and demand a recount or delegates don't vote the way that they're supposed to vote when you didn't even vote yourself. Kind of like the Hamilton cast and crew down in New York City when they did their little tirade with Vice President-elect Pence there, and we found out later that none of them that stood on that stage actually voted. And as a matter of fact, half of them weren't even registered to vote, let alone vote. You can say one thing about the half that were registered to vote and didn't vote, but the other half wasn't even registered to vote, and yet, including the person who spoke. And they're going to try to counsel and lecture the vice president-elect, when they didn't even participate in the very basic function of a civilized society that is a democratic republic such as this, and that's even just to get out and vote. They didn't even bother registering to vote, let alone vote. I mean, that's even taking laziness to an ultimate level. They don't even bother to register. Don't even bother to register, which is pretty amazing in its own right. But hold on, folks. We're not going anywhere. We still got more to continue. We'll take your calls as soon as we get back. Hang in there.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
This election here in the U.S. of A. really does have consequences all across the globe. And people are reacting across the globe to a Trump election as a very positive sign. For example, Bloomberg, which is not exactly a right-leaning financial and news publication, they're more left-leaning. I don't know how you can be a socialist and be a capitalist at the same time. It's just an oxymoron. It's just that they're opposite ends of the spectrum there. But anyway, they try to do that, places like Bloomberg. But they have a story here that Trump has chairman of top Nordic bank predicting better times ahead. Yes, the chairman of the biggest Nordic bank says that Donald Trump election win is good news for the U.S. economy and global economy, thanks to the real estate mogul's pledge to deliver tax cuts and deregulation in the U.S. of A., which could translate into more investment across the globe. Now, look, we're all interconnected in this in this era of big international conglomerate banks, for better or for worse. I know some people don't necessarily like it, but for better or for worse, this is the reaction that is actually not a rarity. It is the majority, not the minority, as far as people across the globe are considering the election of Donald J. Trump. We're not the only ones here that think that it's a good idea. People across the globe, many world leaders have said that this is a good idea of having Trump versus Hillary. Now, look, the entire world isn't behind globalization. They're not. And if we elect somebody who isn't behind globalization, then those other countries that are not behind globalization are going to look at that as being a positive. And of course, their countries and their countries' economies are probably going to react positively to the sign that there's a world leader of a major nation that isn't a globalist. Good thing? Yeah, well, I think it is. And obviously, so do some big bankers across the pond.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Is the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show. And with that said, let's go to the phones. To the phones we go. 850, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. What you got?
Rod, when you were talking about banks, it makes me think of Iceland and how its bankers tried to subvert its nation. And I wouldn't say banks are necessarily a bad thing, but we are obviously suffering because of the Federal Reserve. And we need a change in the system. There's three banks that need to be mentioned. Nugan Hand out of Australia, very much with ties to drug running and intelligence people. And after Nugan Hand was BCCI, and very much tied to intelligence people and money laundering and probably the Islamic bomb in Islamabad. But also HSBC, another bank, and all this stuff needs to be cleaned up in so many ways.
I know that HSBC has been mentioned.
Old families dealing drugs.
Yeah, HSBC has been mentioned a number of times from a number of different people as being one of those, for lack of a better term, I guess, Bilderberg type of banks like the Fed, and they've also been accused of being tight with a number of central banks. And when I say central banks, state banks like which really aren't state banks, which like the Federal Reserve here. The central bank of some of the European countries are also not really owned or controlled by that particular country's government.
Well, like you see the Bank of International Settlement in Bern, and so on and so forth. There's many centuries of dirt to go around. But here's the deal, Rod. You were talking about the people who were demonstrating, and they really weren't participating in the actual process that they were protesting against. And Abby Hoffman, developed a system of protestation that it demands a theatrical delivery. And they were supposed to act like they were on a stage. And that's what they are. Now, the federal government has actually had actors for quite a while. And how they brought it on board, they made it seem as though they were actors for new soldiers getting ready to go over to experience another culture. And so they plucked from this because this was an intelligence operation run, but it had a sideboard also. So we have crisis actors. My own granddaughter, she's going to be 26 on my birthday this year. and she could run like the wind. I said, hey, you could be in the Olympics running like that. She could outrun me barefoot, you know. And I said, you need to really work on that. Well, you know what was the draw for her in high school? It was a drama club. She went absolutely nowhere with it. But that's what all the young people like, is the drama. They want to be out front like these kids are today. And these old foxes in the chicken coop, they prey on them. It's just another form of blood sucking that these people do along the way to gain their power.
That's part of the draw with a lot of this social media and the way it is today, is because these millennials, they so desperately want to be considered as being somebody. Because if you don't have a lot of friends, put those in quotes, then you're nobody in their eyes. And this is
and they have a fake thing in their hands, and instead of folding their hands in prayer, they walk around working their thumbs on their stuff.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of work to be done. There's a spiritual healing of America, as well as physical and monetary and so on and so forth. Rod, there's a lot of stuff to be rooted out. You see, the banks are like Hillary Clinton. They can do their wrong, and it really doesn't get up to the top. Somebody underneath might get whacked. But the banks and Hillary and all the too big to fails, they have to be put in their place for America to get back on the right path.
Yeah, and that is true, but we have to understand how difficult it's not something that's easy. It is simple.
Once you make a deal with the devil, then you've made a deal with the devil. See, that's the thing. Evil is either evil or it's not evil. So it's either one or the other. If we first confront that there is evil in this world, then we can deal with it. And of course, those are the people that wouldn't like it so very much, and they have a lot of power because they've used evil to elevate themselves over their fellow man.
Yeah, call it. Well, there's one of my favorite lines. I think it's one of the best lines ever written for a movie, scripted for a movie. Devil's Advocate. Al Pacino uttered the lines. Al Pacino played the devil, in case people don't know this movie, with him and Keanu Reeves as the headliners. He utters the line that what his favorite sin is. And his favorite sin is, and this is actually biblical, because if you go back and look at Adam and Eve, and the fall of Adam and Eve came simply because of something that the devil preys on, and that is individual pride. It's the devil's favorite sin. And if you can get somebody's pride involved in their everyday lives and what they do and don't do, then you've got them. You've got them. So if you make a deal with the devil's going to make a deal with you most likely based on your pride. And this is the Clinton era. This is the Clintons' downfall. Now, the Clintons can't do anything without having their pride affected.
They gave themselves over to Satan. So it's obvious. If she's saying stuff and people around her, emails are getting passed back and forth referencing Moloch, that's an ancient god. Nobody goes out of their way to say the name Moloch. Although I found out if you just add an L to the nickname Mooch, it's Moloch.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that we have to deal with.
But wouldn't that be something if it was a he, she in the White House that was really what we should be looking out for?
A he, she in the White House, and who would that?
Yeah, Michael or whatever his name is, Michelle.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yes. Wow.
Oh, some people talk about that. I'm not sure.
No. I think I thought this because God gave it to me in prayer.
I'm not sure that I follow that.
The time when the power will come through a small peoples. You're looking at it, Rod.
Yeah, we definitely there is this minority mindset that they want you to believe that it's the vast majority mindset, and obviously it's not. It is a minority mindset, and the minority is now attempting to rule over the majority.
The population. Ted Gunderson, I watched him sitting next to Bo Greitz, and he said 1.5% of the population are satanic, actual devil worshippers.
That sounds kind of low, but okay, I'll buy that.
Well, I mean, if it's growing, then, we have a real problem. And how does it grow? But because the devil knows how to take people away from God. And then there are those who've never known God.
There are a lot of people like that in this country alone that were born and raised in this
Rod,
country.
I was in Greece in 1972, and I was also in Turkey in 1972. And, the female prison was off limits, but me and a couple guys, we got there first before the shore patrol. And, that's how sinful we were in the female prison. But anyway, the one thing I realized, as sinful as I was, I walked around and I looked at these people in Turkey. And I had been looking at Greeks for quite a while because we spent a lot of time in Greece. And I said, these people all look the same. The Greeks don't look like they're statues. Well, that meant that the Greeks had been conquered and their blood was not the same as it had been. And then it dawned on me years later that when I looked in the eye of the Turk, I wasn't seeing Christ. The sinful Greeks, they believed on Christ, but the Turks didn't. And so there really is a window to the soul. And our history, if we forget it, is going to, the banks have not always existed. And it doesn't mean that we can't find a way out of what we're in and still survive, which is not going to be an easy road. And so therefore, why look for an easy way out?
That is true. There is no easy way out that's going to actually go. That's actually going to work. Let me see. I want to take another call here, my friend. It is always good to hear.
Yeah, and General Valley, and all his guys, wonderful people, and we just never forget some of the things they say, and it gave us hope.
It certainly does. Thank you so much for your call. Let's see if we can get another caller in here, my friend. And it looks like this is another caller from Montana, if I'm not mistaken, where the general was calling from early today. 406. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show if you're the caller from Montana. 406, you're live. Go ahead. Oops, and they just hung up. Guess they got a little bit nervous, huh? Oh, don't be nervous, folks. Call in. It's okay. I'll get you on. I promise. I promise. I'll get you on. Especially if you're coming from, Montana. What is Montana known for? Montana is known for crazy people. Yeah, you're crazy people. Isn't that the land of the Unabomber, right? Is Montana? Montana is one of those states, though. Montana, I do believe, is listed as one of the top 5 freest states in the Union. New Hampshire, of course, is number 1. I think Montana is in that top 5. Is ranked by, I don't know who does that ranking, to tell you the truth. But I do know that New Hampshire, my state, is still, and that's actually kind of pretty sad, because I know we like to say live free or die here, but we've had a number of Democratic governors and controlled legislatures over the past 20 years that have done some serious damage to that live free or die reputation. There was even a movement at one point that quickly got squashed to remove that as our state motto, live free or die. It's so divisive is what they said. It doesn't make us sound friendly. I don't know, live free sounds pretty friendly to me. Just saying. Fidel Castro is now no more. He is about to be 6 feet under. And the Cuban dissidents, as they're sometimes referred to, are partying hard in Miami, Florida over this. But they still have Raul Castro, who apparently has stated that he would step down like in 2018 or something. Now understand that Fidel was 90 years old when he passed away. And Raul is 2 years older than his younger brother Fidel, so he's 92, 93 at the moment. How do these tyrants live so long, man? Compared to other, well, I know because they have the good life and they get the best of everything because they are the tyrants. But Raul is he's 92 or 93, and he's still in power. But it's said will be stepping down in about 2 years. So his replacement, I guess, has already been named, and his name is none other than Miguel Diaz-Canel, or Canel. And the reality is that that's not his full name. Evident. I don't know why some of these Spaniards have such long names. But Miguel Diaz-Canel is actually Miguel Mario Diaz-Canel Bermudez. Diaz-Canel is a hyphenated name. And there's a reason that the Spanish did this. It was to mark their birthright and things like that, which is why they end up with such long names. But Miguel Mario Diaz-Canel Bermudez is set to take office when Raul steps down. He is currently, about 56 years old, and he is the first vice president of the Council of State and Ministers of Cuba. In other words, he's the head VP. He's the vice president of Cuba. Or Raul is the president, and this gentleman Raul, this gentleman Miguel is the vice president, the VP. So there you have it. He's another communist. He's a hardliner, much like Raul and Fidel. He's an anti-American, much like Raul and Fidel. So there isn't going to be much in change, although I guess he is more open to certain economic and social changes than the Castros have been. So they may get a little bit of a break once Raul leaves office, either by his own hand or by the angel of death. I don't care which one comes. It can't come fast enough for the people of Cuba. Maybe once we have that more moderate leadership in Cuba, we'll see some changes there, some serious, real changes in Cuba. But the interesting thing is that Black Lives Matter has praised Fidel Castro. Now, I can't for the life of me figure out why any American would ever do that. Knowing the state of that island nation, how any American could possibly praise a Castro is beyond me. I don't know. I don't get it. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back to wrap it up in just a moment.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You know, there's been other protests going on out there, and you're not gonna probably see this one out there from the lamestream media. But there was a protest at Hampshire College. No, not New Hampshire. Hampshire College is actually located on the outskirts of Amherst, Massachusetts, part of what they call the 5 colleges in that region of the state. You have University of Massachusetts at Amherst, which is huge, 50,000 students or something like that. It's ridiculous, the size of that place. As well as Smith College is also there, just down the road a piece, as they say, which is 91 in Hampton, Northampton, Massachusetts, along with Hampshire College, known as a very liberal kind of college, obviously. But veterans are out there protesting the flag removal at Hampshire College. Now, of course, the college's president didn't attend the demonstration, didn't show up at all. But yes, at an American college, they've now removed the American flag. And so veterans, some 1,000 plus strong veterans, demonstrated against this move. Now, some of the veterans even said, well, look, I went to war, I fought to protect their right to be able to do that, and that's not the problem, but them exercising their right to free speech, but at the same time, I'm here to exercise my right to free speech to talk about their mistake in doing such a thing. And that's truthful. I just can't imagine any other country having an institute of higher learning removing that nation's flag. That just makes absolutely no sense to me. Well, you know, they do it, obviously. The wonderful left, because they did this in response to Trump being elected president. Isn't that wonderful? They don't get their way, so then they want to blame Americans for not giving them what they want. Not realizing that sometimes what you want is probably not a good thing, especially for the vast majority of people in the country. But, you know, it is what it is, I suppose. But in any case, that's all we have for today. We'll be back here tomorrow. We'll talk more about the things that have happened today, the things that'll happen overnight, and talk more about this recount potential in 3 key states, as well as what Trump thinks about it, and he thinks it's just a waste of time and money. As well as keeping an eye on more of his appointments. Until then, have a wonderful Monday afternoon. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. Thanks for listening. I'm out.